Welcome to Valor Conversations. I'm your host, Jay Trainer. Valor Conversations is powered by CSB Ministries and is the official podcast of Christian Service Brigade. For more information, please visit csbministries.org. And now, on with the show. Hello, friends. We are venturing through our series based on camp life and discussing the value and importance of camping experiences with some brigade-affiliated camps around the United States. Today, I'm happy to share with everyone that someone who is near and dear to my heart is joining us today on this specific episode. Sam Richbart has been around Brigade for a long time, serving as a regional director and leader at his church. Sam has been on staff with Camp Hickory Hill for a long time as well and serves in the capacity currently as the executive director. Sam, welcome aboard. It's good to have you be part of this podcast, Valor Conversations. And, as we get started today, why don't you share a little bit about your own backstory and your own passion, specifically with CSB, with Christian Service Brigade?
Well, the backstory starts when I'm a little kid and got to watch my dad and my grandpa head off to Stockade. This thing called Stockade sounds like it was great. Then my older brother got to go, and I had to wait another year. Then finally I got to join in with Stockade, and I think I was let in a little early, so I knew what was coming. But it was fantastic to see my dad and my grandpa as leaders there. I got to join with a bunch of kids. We had a good sized Stockade back then, and just a bunch of kids, a bunch of men that cared about us and poured into us. So the things that my dad and my grandpa were teaching us, we believed them, but we were hearing that now from a lot of other men as well. And that's where it started in those years, and young in Stockade. In battalion, I loved the battalion environment as well. Not as many adult leaders, but the adult leaders that were there were excited about working with us. Dale Russell, remember Dale, our captain, and the opportunities to learn leadership. That combined with the training at camp as a junior leader at camp was very, very significant in my life. And as soon as I finished battalion, I was already wanting to help in our brigade program at our church. So I think I was helping both in Stockade and battalion in my college years, and it just continued as a part of my life. Now being able to pour back to the boys and the young men that were coming to the program.
A longevity of family spanning the course of several generations, right? That's really what it comes down to.
Yep. My grandsons are now in the program. My Danny's in Stockade, and Sammy's in tree climbers with Aaron. So yeah, the generations continue.
So let's keep going down that road. Obviously, Christian Service Brigade and camping experiences, they've had a direct impact on you as a person, as you have shared already, but really also your family. And now, how specifically has Brigade, let's expand on that a little bit more. How has Brigade, but also camp life, had this impact? How has it had this impact on your family too?
Well, I'd say for my kids, it was the continuation of what was taught in our local church. And so they got to see it each summer, as they're growing up for 6-7 weeks. They were with us at camp, and I brought the kids with me wherever I could. And so they were seeing Christ lived out in a wonderful environment. And so their love for the Lord now, I think, in part was because of the summer camp experiences and year round. As they got older, they came with me to help out with different things. And I have 3 boys and a girl, and the boys came their turn, then Hannah's the youngest, and then she got her turn to come along and help. And yeah, they got to help through their high school years. When sports got in the way, then they moved on to something different, but they still enjoyed coming back to camp whenever they could. Yeah.
Amazing. Again, that longevity, the nature of how that continues to thread the needle, so to speak, right through multiple generations within your family. And I think that's really how this ministry is set up overall, which is pretty awesome. So Camp Hickory Hill, you've been there a while now. You've served as a volunteer, as a part-time staff, and you've been there full time for a little bit now. What's that been like for you? And what is it to you that makes Camp Hickory Hill that kind of that special place, that unique place for you to serve the Lord and also serve people in that capacity as being
Sure.
an executive director?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll if I forget to answer part of your question, just
That's
remind
okay.
me. But
I'm throwing a lot at you.
I'm gonna go back to the start. Like I was a summer camper in 1971 as a 10-year-old kid. I'd already been to camp, with our stockade, and so I'd seen what camp was. But the first time there as a camper, I was 10 years old, and just wonderful experiences and as a kid. And I remember my last year as a camper. I remember standing by myself, looking up at the stars, and saying, "Okay, God, wherever you want to take me, I want to follow." And little did I know that a part of what He wanted me to do was to stay and direct that same property where I stood underneath the stars as a 15-year-old. That He would bring me back there to well, I never left really, to serve. And so so it goes way back then. You ask, well, what did you ask? I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
Oh,
how
that's
would you
okay. No, again, what's it been like for you serving in that capacity, and what is it to you in terms of that makes, again, Hickory Hill that special place to ultimately to serve the Lord and serve people?
Yeah. To see people grow. I do a lot of interviews for our summer camp staff, and it's so interesting. Those that have been to Hickory Hill before, which are most of them, they when you say what's your favorite part of camp, when you think about camp, what's the favorite thing? And it's the people. It's they certainly have their fun activities that they talk about, but most of them, when you say what's the best part about camp, they're talking about the people, the experiences they've had that drew them closer to God, and it's the leaders, the junior leaders, the senior leaders, the collegians that have drawn them closer to the Lord. So what keeps me excited about camp is watching campers grow closer to the Lord, many putting their faith in Him for the first time, watching leaders learn how to be leaders and get excited about being used by God. That's exciting. When you see a squirrely little kid grow to become someone that you hand over the reins to as a program director, and God did amazing work in him during that last 6, 7, 8 years or whatever. But the Lord has allowed me to see a lot of that transition over the years, and it's exciting every time you see it.
And you've been involved in a staff capacity with Hickory Hill for how long now?
Full time with Camp Hickory Hill is in 2009 is when I came on full time. Summer camp director since 1986.
Wow.
So it goes way back. Yeah.
We're talking again decades here, and growing up there, it's amazing how the Lord brings things full circle, right? In terms of you offering and saying to the Lord, I love this snapshot into your story about how you're looking at the stars and you're like, wherever, Lord, however you want me to serve you, I'm willing. And then the Lord is saying, I'm going to have you stay right here.
Yep, that is pretty cool.
Pretty cool. And again, sometimes He leads us in different places and different directions, but it's nonetheless, I think it's neat how the relationships for you have been the fulfillment or the joy that fuels the continued ministry that happens at Hickory Hill in the first place. That's really neat. So let's talk about the happenings. Let's talk about the program for a few moments. What do you have coming up this summer? What's going to be taking place this summer? What sort of offerings are going to be happening at Hickory Hill?
Sure. Every summer we're going to have some family camp options. We're going to have options for the guys and then options for the girls. As you know, we keep the genders separate in terms of the guys and girls programs. So our guys are in July, our girls are in August, but we also have some family camp things sprinkled in. In 2020, when COVID hit, we had lots of family things, and we added more because that's what we could do. And we love doing that. The family things in a summer like this one is Family Fireworks Weekend. Will be July 2nd through the 4th, a Saturday morning through a Monday afternoon, and this usually fills up very, very quickly. And it's just a fun 3 days with families that love activity. They love to do things. They love interacting with each other, and we get to share the gospel with them. They're at various ages, little kids to sometimes grandma and grandpas are there with their families as well. So we have that option. We also have a father-son option this summer as well, which is wonderful to get dads and sons out together. And then, like I said, in July, we have our guys programs, and in a couple weeks in August for our girls. And those are just wonderful, wonderful times. Everything from zip line, high ropes course, canoeing, fishing, archery, BB guns, 22s for the older kids. We're going to get laser tag this year. We're going to out for outdoors. That's going to be awesome. We've looked at that for years, and now it's time. It's time. So we're excited about that, and much more. Especially things for the guys. We have what we call Mighty Men Camp, where Rob Dickerson heads up our camping program, and so there'll be a base camp option early in the summer, a half week time where the young men can learn the basic camping skills, and then later in the summer we have a 26-mile backpack trip that once they've done the base camp and shows they're ready, then they're able to go on some of these trips. And so we have that option as well as part of our camp options. But spending a week or a half week at camp, having a time of your life, and also learning to interact or live with a family group and grow closer to those people that are with you, and to grow closer to the Lord is an awesome experience. So and my cool. Cat is meowing in the background.
that happens. I love the raw nature of how we can have conversations like this, and that takes place. That's some of the elements of what Zoom has brought us, and COVID-19, right?
That's right.
We get to see and hear different things that take place in the background, as opposed to a normal formalized type of discussion or whatever. I think it's awesome. So laser tag, is that going to be out for Pastors Weekend by chance, or Pastors Day?
Oh, that's a good point. It should be. It should be. We are asking other camps there before we pull the trigger and make the purchase. We're making sure some other camps give us some feedback, and so I would anticipate in the next 2 weeks we'd make that purchase and have it ready.
That's awesome. Very cool. How important for you, and how important is it for Camp Hickory Hill to connect with local clergy? You guys do the Pastors Day, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit more. I know that was originally in the line of questions, but what okay. value is that for you, and what sort of relationships emerge out of these pastoral networks and connections that you have, especially with Iron Sharpens Iron? I'm sure kind of plays a role in that too.
Yeah, well, we feel like we're serving families, we're serving churches, and so the best connection to lots of families is by connecting to a church, and where a church feels comfortable, and then saying to their families, here's a good place that you can trust your kids. They are safe, they are strong, they love the Lord, they'll take care of them, and your kids will grow. So our investment in relationship building with a pastor, a youth pastor, whatever is appropriate for that church, is very important, we feel, in terms of the ongoing ministry. And we've mostly talked about the summer. There's other options as well, but the summer is huge. So that's why I mainly focus on that. But so if we stay connected, if we get connected with a church, with the pastoral staff and the leadership of the church, it's very good when you think of how it's going to affect all the families in the church.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Pastors Day, so you mentioned that. Let's just mention that we just love to say thank you to pastors. We just that day is no cost to the pastor.
I love it.
It's just to come on out, enjoy the day. We have a number of people when they come out, they do every activity that we have open. They want to do everything. And there's been times where a couple pastors came and they just sat back and relaxed. They had a cup of coffee and they just took it all in that way because they needed some rest, and so that's provided as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's very, very peaceful, sitting and overlooking the hills that go off to the south of Hickory Hill there, from the dining room porch. I love it. I love it. So just because the summer wraps up, it doesn't mean ministry ends, right? I mean, there's ongoing things that take place
Yep.
for churches and for you guys at Hickory Hill. What sort of events and programs do you have the rest of the year, and how does Brigade play a role in that too?
Cool. Yeah. The other types of things throughout the year: retreats, guest groups, and I'll say conferences. We'll get there first. For retreats, about every month it averages out, we'll have one parent-child retreat. Okay? In May, we'll have a mother-daughter retreat coming up. Sometimes it's a men's retreat. We have a men's retreat at the end of April. But there's retreats spread out, and often they're parent-child events, and just a wonderful opportunity to get dad and son, mom and daughter together to have a ton of fun, build that relationship with each other while it's in a Christian environment, while they're both being taught Christian principles and where they can discuss those things together. So yeah, there are retreats that we run, and Christian Service Brigade promotes these things. In our region, our Christian Service Brigade churches are the start of our promotion. We go beyond that, but certainly they help promote those areas, and we serve those churches. Guest groups. Every month we have a number of guest groups that come and utilize the facility. We will facilitate their ministry, from sorry about the cat, from the food, taking care of them with good food, to if they wanted some of the programs like the ropes course or zip line and things like that. So we facilitate the parts that help them in their ministry. So there's the retreats, there's the guest groups, the conferences. In particular, we think of the Iron Sharpens Iron conferences that Christian Service Brigade and Hickory Hill work together on in this region. We work together to host the Rochester and the Buffalo conference, and it's been a tremendous joy and a surprise, I'll say. If I think back to 20 years ago, and you would have told me that we'd have an opportunity to serve and to pour into 60 to 70 to 80 churches on a given Saturday in the fall, and then another Saturday in the spring, and to minister to them and to make some connections, I wouldn't have known we could do that. But God has allowed us to do that. He opened the door so that Brigade and Camp can do that together, and it's a wonderful extension of what we do. And like you said before, it connects us with lots of pastors, lots of people, and allows us to minister beyond that day to them year round for those that want additional things.
Absolutely. Now, as we wind down, as we begin to kind of wrap up our time together, let's talk about what a win looks like for you through the different camping situations. Camping professionals, they face so many different things, right? There's so many different layers and whatnot that camping professionals like yourself have to endure and go through, and sometimes those things are difficult. But there's also points of celebration. So what does a win look like to you, Sam? How do you celebrate that win?
I think I'll answer. It probably connects to some things I said earlier.
Yeah.
The win is when that counselor almost runs down the hill to leaders huddle early in the morning, as they want to share the experiences they had the night before with a camper, when they get to share that they were there when that camper put their faith in Christ. They were there when they were able to pray with the camper for peace, when they were there to point out how that camper could grow more. And so they're seeing that excitement in a staff member, and to see that is just tremendous. So to know that a camper is growing in the Lord or putting their faith in Him for the first time is absolutely tremendous. So seeing yeah, when I think about wins, the biggest ones are seeing young people growing in Him, seeing young people growing in Him, and of course we have with the variety of other experiences. There's sometimes where we see adults significant growth, whether it's because of the Iron Sharpens Iron conference, or sometimes it's at a father-son event where a dad. It's not as common as the youth, but where a dad or a mom, depending on the event, where they put their faith in Christ, and praise the Lord. Yeah. So I think that's it. Where I get excited when I see wins are when we get to see young people or old moving along in their walk with Christ. And God doesn't show us all of it. I know He doesn't, but He shows us enough to keep us excited and to know that He's at work. And that's that's what I'd say is a win.
And as a follow-up, how do you celebrate, or how does the camp celebrate when you have those wins? What are the celebratory moments that you incorporate?
Well, there's cheering that goes on at our leaders' huddles.
That's awesome.
It's what does Scripture say? The angels rejoice when a lost one is found, and there's some cheering going down, rejoicing at our pavilion where we don't hold back. We also, to some extent, like to document. We have a book, a special book that we write down the date and the camper's name and the decision that was made, and so allows us to remember a little bit again, just a little bit about what God is doing. And that's. And I think there's a whole lot of inner celebration inside me.
Well, I'm sure there is.
Besides the parts we just talked about.
Absolutely. It's always incredible to take notice of these celebratory moments, these situations where, man, God's on the move. Now, the Lord is always on the move. There's no doubt about that. But when we evidently see it, man, those times are special. Those are benchmark moments. And I hope that you're able to continue to have great opportunities this summer and beyond at Hickory Hill. And as we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts or any words that you might like to share? Kind of just a free opportunity to pass on whatever you pass on.
Just like to encourage parents and grandparents to get their kids and grandkids to camp, whether they're young 8 years old campers, coming for the first time, or whether they are teenagers. There's value in being in a Christian camp. If you're not near Hickory Hill, get into a Christian camp wherever you are. There's lots of Christian Service Brigade camps across the country, lots of strong Christian camps across the country, and get your kids to a Christian camp. There's value in seeing your young, your teenagers being on staff at camp. Not everybody understands the value of it, and they think, okay, no, they got a real job. I tell you, there's nothing that your child can do during the summer that will have eternal value. Well, yes, you won't get as much financial value probably, but the value that you get, your child will gain from serving at camp is absolutely tremendous. And I would just no holding back to encourage you to do that, to get them involved.
Awesome. Sam, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thanks for your continued faithfulness. It's great having you on Valor Conversations. And man, I can't wait to connect with you more in the future. Maybe that Pastor's Day coming up very soon.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning into Valor Conversations with your host, Jay Trainer. Valor Conversations is powered by CSB Ministries and is the official podcast of Christian Service Brigade. For more information, please visit csbministries.org. And in the meantime, stay tuned for more Valor Conversations coming your way soon.